Hey everyone, Desi is here with another video. Today we're going to be talking about leveling versus the endgame experience in MMOs. In this video I want to talk more specifically about EverQuest and World of Warcraft when I do talk about this, so that'll be my main reference point. Besides that, it is a nice Sunday morning, just got a fresh cup of coffee, and I think it's time to delve into another Sunday chill chat. First, I want to talk about the quicker feedback in progression when it comes to leveling. When we make a character in an MMO, the earlier levels probably have the most feedback when it comes to the time we put into the game. And I think that as we level, the systems in place become a lot more difficult and more tedious and time consuming, especially in EverQuest. And the introduction of hell levels, I think level 30 is the first hell level in EverQuest. You can really see the difference in how slow it is to level. But I think just based on the feeling of playing the game and the feedback you get from it, and I think more of the progression that you unlock in those earlier levels, it just feels more satisfying. And I think that's why I'll always be an altaholic. It's just so fun to make a new character and go around the earlier zones, especially if you are twinked out and you're just kind of able to just run around, destroy stuff, and get those spells early on, and all of the progression at those levels feels very rewarding to me personally. There's just a lot more potential routes to take in the leveling experience versus playing in the end game, where you are kind of set with a limited number of static zones and raids, but I'll get to that later in the video. I think another part is just the spell progression and the meaningful stat upgrades as well. When you are very low level, even if you're not twinked out, when you get a new piece of gear that has a bit more AC or even a single stat at all, if you have like 1 strength or 1 stamina or even like 15 mana or hit points, it just feels so good at those lower levels because you can really visualize the breakdown of the impact that has in your gameplay a lot more clearly than at the higher levels, where upgrades are mostly marginal at best and you're not actually unlocking any new stat upgrade, or you're not setting a completely new precedent for your character. And as a kind of an aside from this video, because I'm kind of just jumping right into it pretty much, but I love the endgame as well. I love MMOs, every aspect of them. But in this video, I really wanted to just dive into why usually I prefer the leveling experience a bit more than endgame. And definitely a personal opinion. I know there's a lot of people that enjoy the endgame more than leveling, and I think that makes sense because you spend so much time getting to endgame that it feels just rewarding in and of itself of being able to play at that state of gameplay for your character's progression. But at the end of the day, I love making new characters. I love just leveling in those earlier and intermediate leveling zones and just feeling the nice progression of that, especially in Classic WoW. I think playing on hardcore mode, which is what I'm playing on this level 8 mage right now, is all about really leveling. It's the journey before the destination. And I kind of touched on this before, but I'll kind of go over it again as it's written in my notes. There's just faster progression in leveling. It's more satisfying. I know I'm kind of redundant in saying that again. For my zoomer brain rot brain, I think just being in those earlier levels, it feels more satisfying, and it feels like I don't have to commit as much. And maybe that's just my fear of commitment wearing off in my relationship to playing video games, who knows. In addition to that, leveling feels somehow a bit less mechanical than playing an endgame. I think the endgame activities, it really narrows down how you view your character's progression and the activities you do. The thing I love about EverQuest is there's always something different you could really do. You don't have to participate in the endgame systems if you don't want to, even if you are max level. You can focus on trade skills. You can just go to the Oasis and just buff low level players. That can be like the way you have fun in playing endgame. That's the awesome part about EverQuest. But I think more specifically, this kind of topic is more World of Warcraft related, because the endgame systems are a lot more mechanical in World of Warcraft. Once you reach those points, the quests get narrowed down to, dungeons and raids, And I think the final boss of endgame is raid logging, which for me at least completely zaps the fun out of playing an MMO. I am very cautious when it comes to starting to raid in endgame, because every single time I do, and I talked about this previously, I just get burnt out really quick because it's just personally not very fun for me. And I don't like to look at playing an MMO, and especially like playing endgame, as just a means to an end to get better gear, because that's just not very fun for me. And when I am leveling in an MMO, sure, like the gear is fun, loot is fun, but it feels like there's just a bit more incentive and just more reward from other aspects of playing the game that I like more. And I think the mechanical nature of endgame also relates to EverQuest too. I think raid logging is just as prevalent, and maybe even more so because I feel like there's a lot more raids to do, especially in Project Quorum. There's a rotation of different raids to do weekly in Velius. And for me at least, it's fun for a bit, but I definitely just kind of take a break relatively quick while I'm in the process of just kind of raid logging and playing mostly for raids. It's just kind of not my favorite way to play. No shade against raiding and endgame in any of these MMOs. I think they have their moments, for me at least. I just don't find it the most fun way to play the game that I love to play so much. And I think another umbrella topic about leveling versus endgame that really kind of permeates through all these topics I'm talking about is there is just an anticipation of hitting max level that feels so satisfying when you are in the leveling experience. It's easy to visualize yourself as a hamster in a wheel, just perpetually going just to reach the end point, and you can kind of see some sort of feudal nature in it. The hamster being in the wheel while leveling, for me, is way more fun than being a hamster in the wheel of being an endgame. Like, for example, I think, yeah, just the feeling of when you're leveling and you know there's things on the horizon, big milestones, like getting a mount or, you know, just hitting max level in general, and the idea of raiding. I think the idea of raiding and having all this cool gear and being a part of this team every week to destroy all these raid bosses is more fun sometimes than the reality of it. And that sounds kind of sad, but it feels good to look forward to those things. And I don't want to get too maybe pseudoscience here. I'm not a neuroscience. It's not my vocation or anything, but I'm pretty sure I've like done some reading that the dopamine you receive from pleasurable activities, you get more dopamine from the anticipation of it than actually the experience of it. Like, it feels better to know that it'll be coming in the future than when it actually does come. And so I think that does say a lot about the leveling experience psychologically there, of how we just get a lot of joy from just being in the journey rather than actually being at the destination itself. And that's kind of my thesis of this video, I guess. My main message is just the enjoyment of leveling versus the enjoyment of endgame, because they're both kind of like very different games, even if they are in the same game itself. That's kind of the beauty of MMOs, is there's so much variety to how you can play it and so many mini games within the game itself. I think a good analogy is redstone in Minecraft. When you are playing Minecraft, there's so many different incentives and different things you can do and things you can build and explore. And then there's this whole other part about Minecraft, which is creating these redstone contraptions and basically like electioneering in the game. I don't know if I even said that right. And that's a whole nother game in and of itself. And it's very similar with MMOs. There are trade skill games within it. There are, you know, just exploration and quests and the end game and fishing. Like, there's just so much you can do in these games, and it's so fun to just be able to dissect those differences. And that's kind of what I wanted to achieve in this video. And I don't want it to run too long. I kind of wanted to just say my piece and hit the road. So if you enjoyed this video, or you resonate with it, or even disagree with it, I'd love to hear your opinion in the comments. If you like videos talking about MMOs, I like to talk about MMOs, so might as well hit that like button and subscribe if you want some more content. We are nearing 2,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. I'm very grateful to everyone who watches my videos and just take the time out of your day to just hear my ramblings, even if they are sometimes senseless like this one. I feel like it's very much a personal opinion, but I like to put that out there just to share it. So anyways, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and your rest of your Sunday is well if you are watching it the day of the upload. Anyways, take care everyone. Peace.